Hello, everybody. Um, Hello, I'm Brandon O'Brien, your stage manager for this evening. Um, Still trying very much to mitigate some technical difficulties, so please bear with me if I'm still very wary of things going wonky every once in a while. But we are here for another session of Soundclash the Clampdown. Everyone has gathered to get into some musical shenanigans once more. Um, Before we get into the game, the usual housekeeping notes. You can find out more about this channel, twitch.tv/Arvan Alaron, the usual weekday host of this channel, Gregory Wilson. Um, you can support Greg's writing and streaming work. If you put exclamation point Arvtreon in the chat, you will find access to Greg's Patreon. If you put exclamation point Arvtube, you'll get the link to the YouTube channel, which will have links to all of the streams that are presently on this channel. Exclamation point Arv Shop will take you to the store where you can find many of the things that will also support this channel. Um, Also, definitely want to shout out Tales and Tomes from the Forbidden Library. I believe that is exclamation point library in the chat, um, which was a collection of very interesting D&D stuff from a great deal of writers and designers, including Greg, that was in collaboration with Alligator Alley Entertainment, a relationship which we uh, definitely want to honor and respect on this channel after the passing of Brian Dalrymple. Um, um, Also want to definitely shout out exclamation point BLM if you want to assert and affirm that Black Lives Matter. You can definitely find links to organizations that deserve support in that in on that link. Definitely give your support to as many of those organizations as possible, whether financially or in kind, especially during especially given the worldwide circumstances that we're in. We often think that it's often a great deal more difficult to engage in some activist work that is absolutely necessary, but that makes that work even more necessary. We don't have a link for those things. We don't have a link for organizations that support Asian American and Pacific Islander work as well, but we definitely do also value um, the work that is being done on that front as well. At some point, I want to actually add those kinds of resources here as well, because that work is also important, not only in the US but elsewhere in the world. Um, Especially given the present circumstances. And also exclamation point help now. If you or anyone that you know is struggling with mental health issues at this moment, there are resources there as well, not only for your own assistance, but in order to better help you be able to assist those that you care about and be aware of the things that they may be dealing with, so you can be more empathetic and um, help that relationship with that person be more healthy and more productive for both of you. With that being said, I'm going to click some things so I can see all of my cool friends. So I'm going to rejoin the Zoom call so I can interrupt
What?
them while they were having all of the cool conversations that they were presently having, and then switch to this scene right here so everybody can see you being cool. Hello, everybody. How are you all doing?
Doing
Delightful,
good.
darling.
Good.
So before we begin, I'm going to ask everybody to please introduce yourselves. Tell everybody who you are and what you do and who you will be playing in this game. Starting with Vale.
Hi guys, I'm Vale. I use he and they pronouns. I am playing Eva Peron, who uses she, her pronouns, and is the beat. Your punk rock mom.
Nice. Thank you very much. Next, Nathan.
Hello, hello, hello. I am your androgynous android game show host from the future, Nathan Blades. It's always a pleasure to be on this show. I am a tabletop RPG designer and streamer, and I will be playing Olivia Oliver Hoshizora, anime protagonist, theremin player, and sad boy.
Next, Katie.
Hello, hi. I'm Katie, she, her pronouns, and I'll be playing River Song. Slowly growing list of anxiety riddled university student doing her best with what she's got, which is a lot of string instruments and three new family members.
And last but not least, Amr.
Hi, I'm Amr Emerez. I use they, pronouns, and I am playing Nahmat, who uses the same. The Melody, who is apparently taking a role as chief trash talker for our band.
I mean, every band needs one.
Every band does need one, and she's not bad at it.
Yeah, pretty adept at the act of trash talk. Well done. So, to recap our last session, um, the group has just recently discovered that they are actually participating in this year's Soundclash. That they will indeed be among three other groups that will um, actually be performing this year from this hex. One of which it just so happens to be a girl group made up of um, teenage girls who actually happen to be attending the same high school that Ava actually teaches at. Who may or may not have been essentially manipulated into being here by Quinn Devlin and his sleazy machinations. Um, but also in attendance in this year's Soundclash is a strange trio of artists who call themselves Weirder, who made a big splash at the launch, including but not limited to potentially genuinely endangering the other bands at that launch. Um, and this is of particular note to everyone here, because they have good reason to believe that this band was at the scene of a crime earlier in the week and may have very sinister motives in mind for some of the folks who will be at the Soundclash, including Quinn Devlin, um, which might be a big deal. So we're going to have to determine how much of a big deal that's going to be. But before we can get to that point, um, every member of this band has been under a lot of stress at this moment. I think that's a fair assertion to make. Um, we haven't done a great deal of downtime as it stands, so we should probably fix that. Um, so I will say that this is a part of the rules that had not been initially fleshed out when I pitched it to the crew the first time. But I am going to touch into the rules draft document that I had initially made that has lots of patches of things that do not presently exist. Um, so there are some things. So there's one thing that you can do during downtime that would be particularly valuable in this moment, which is similar to downtime in Blades, which is that you can train, which is essentially the act of gaining an XP in any of the action categories that you like, in the hopes of potentially gaining another action dot in the future. Um, or you can um, start a long term project one version of a project of which doesn't have to be as long as most other long-term projects, is writing a song. So songs don't exist in Blades; they only exist in Soundclash, and you actually need to have one in order to sing one. Um, and songs have a particular order of elements in this game that becomes particularly important whenever you attempt to perform one. So you actually have to deliberately perform the act of writing one in order to know what that order will be, as well as in order to attach tags to that song. Tags are essentially um, 1 to 3 one word or 2 word attachments to that song that will speak to its tone, what kind of narrative or social effect it's supposed to have when it's being listened to, etc. All of which, in the act of determining what kind of song you want to write, is important for us. Is important for me as a stage manager to know, so we can craft that experience in play. I don't need to know the words. I don't need to know the chords, or else everybody who ever played Soundclash would need to know how to actually become a musician. But I do need to know essentially what you want this to sound like, what its order of elements are, and um, essentially, well, another thing that is also particularly narratively important is who is present when it is written. So, with that being said, we can go into all kinds of general downtime actions right now, including training and including indulging vice, which I need to pull up my particular notes for because the vices that exist are much different in Soundclash, and even though they don't like strongly exist in the rules that my players have already seen, they do still technically exist, and I'm perfectly open to having a discussion about how like useful or valuable those things are in general. So with that being said, is there anything that anybody wants to do or wants to ask about right now while we're still in the process of performing actions?
Uh, so I kind of was thinking in advance about what Oliver's like vices would be in terms of, because this is a ways to de-stress, right? And I figured the process of breaking into the abandoned observatory to do songwriting on the roof is a thing that he should not be doing and uses to de-stress. So even though I've done that like in narrative, I would like to whatever best fits in the list of vices under that. I would be more than happy to take, and will be something I'll take in the session. But we can wait until we are in narrative to get into all of that.
Okay, so I'm going to read the ones that I have right now, um, which again are very rough at the moment, but I like the things that I've come up with right now. And as we're playing, we're not like particularly beholden because a thing that I'm experimenting with in Soundclash is um, there is a vice that you may potentially be more likely to pursue because it's the thing that comes easiest to you, or because you have a particular connection to getting to indulging that vice in a certain place with a certain group of people. But you can do any one that comes to you in that moment if something just kind of comes up in story while in downtime that you just want to do that instead. So the ones that I have right now are Creed, which is any practice of faith or ideology which steals you from service at your place of worship to building ranks for the secret society, social club, or militia that you serve. Bliss, food, drink, drugs, nightlife, or lovers, anything gratifying to the senses. Chic, the red carpet, the ballroom, and the closed doors of class and luxury. Crash, Any attempt to dull the senses, from drowning in drink to indulging in drugs to a good blow to the face in the boxing ring. Cacophony, experimenting with spell songs, weird after effects as a result of the noise. Or craft, any expressive art that is not music that you might indulge in, from poetry to quilting. So you can say that this is any one of these are a device that you prefer most likely to do, or you can instead have one that is narratively easy for you, but otherwise you will take advantage of whatever is possible for you. Um, so, does anything stand out of these for anyone? I can see a couple of people leaning towards cacophony so far. I think Oliver and Nakmat are most likely to want to get in some noise related trouble as a source of relieving stress.
Yeah, pretty much.
Why would you ever assume that about me?
I mean, you're the one who will literally swim towards an underground cave, an underwater cave, simply to have access to the one noise anomaly that no one else can find. So, I mean, it stands to reason.
I would also like to do cacophony because if there's anything River thinks is relaxing, despite cacophony, it's writing music. And while she does tend to like doing it on her own, if there are other willing band member participants, it sure would be interesting to see how we all do.
We got you. We got you. Don't worry.
Um, oh, what is also noteworthy for River is there's a setting that we haven't returned to for you that we established in the beginning of this game, which means that we could probably return to the alley as well, because there are like dozens of stray cats there that you have not tended to in quite some time. Um, who
Mhm.
who knows what might have happened to them if a noise anomaly occurred there recently.
Oh no.
Oh no, indeed. Um, we're not going to no kittens will be harmed in the making of this episode of Soundclash Clampdown, but the kittens might harm something else. You never know. So yes.
I think Ava. What? So I feel like Ava might I guess go with like craft. I think she's gonna start like trying to make disguises.
Okay. And by make disguises, do you mean like you're actually going to like tailor some disguises, or are you going shopping to like pick up things that you know that if you put those things together, they'll make a unique disguise?
Like probably like a combination of the two.
Okay. Yeah.
I think she's definitely gonna look into a mask because just the wig did not work.
I mean, it did work. It just almost didn't work.
I mean,
So
the
yes.
students recognized her, and that's like,
Well, yeah, fair enough. They definitely, but I mean, they're teenagers. They're obviously going to notice that one of their teachers is presently in their around them.
Mhm.
But yes, that is a thing that you can definitely do.
Mhm.
Um, so as it stands right now, I imagine that um, indulging one's vice looks the exact same way that it does in Blades, which makes it one of the few times you still roll d6s in this game.
Oh.
Which I'm trying to avoid. Maybe it will change at some point in the future, but presently it doesn't. Um, so, first, I want you to describe, like, in general, what are you up to, Ava?
Okay, I wasn't prepared for it to come back to me. I think uh, I think she's trying to design like a flashy mask.
Okay. So, like, what materials do you have with you? Um, are you like about to like literally um cut like some plastic and try to like mold it around your face and stuff like that, or are you about to 3D print something?
Um, so because we have access to like, I have access to like the school. Like I can imagine like sometimes there's creator spaces in schools.
Hmm.
So yeah, I think that she's trying to design like a 3D print for uh for a mask, but she's stuck on like what she wants the mask to look like.
Okay. Um. Let's actually think about what that looks like, though. Is your goal to like appear to be someone else, or just to conceal your face?
Conceal, I think.
Uh huh. So we could do like one of those opera mask style things, like those masquerade style
Phantom
things.
of the Opera.
Yeah. Um. Or you could aim for. Ah, here's what's going to happen. I want you to give me a D12 roll.
Okay, just that D12.
Yeah,
Got it.
just a.
I stole Katie's ones.
Wow.
Good.
Okay.
They're yours.
That's actually kind of unique and hilarious, I think. Um. So you stop in this moment and just like generally kind of ask yourself, well, what do I want the mask to do? Is it like just supposed to conceal my face, or is it supposed to represent something? Is it supposed to signify something to the people who see it? Because I'm obviously going to have to wear this while I'm performing now. And you stop and you think about it, and essentially you just kind of settle on the idea that the goal here is obviously to just conceal your face. Like you are not thinking about anything else really. Like if it were just even a plain white um like uh like the shape of an of a Phantom of the Opera mask, but just like with no detail whatsoever, you would be fine with that right now. Right now, the only thing that you're focused on mentally is making sure that you can make the thing in the first place, and maybe it will materialize into something else. Um, with that being said, now we have, before we actually do the vice thing, we should probably determine if you actually succeed in making a mask. Then,
Okay.
so I think, but I can be persuaded otherwise. I think that's a tinker roll. I say that I can be persuaded otherwise because I'm pretty sure you have no dots in tinker.
I have no dots in Tinker. However,
Mm-hmm.
because I am trying to disguise myself, I would argue that I could also use Sneak.
See, sneak would be useful if you already had the thing, but like this is the act of making the thing, not of using it. So unfortunately, I don't
Fair.
think that counts. So I think you have to give me a tinker roll. I'm sorry.
No worries.
Um,
I made an attempt, and that's what matters.
so that means you have to.
Strained on it. I strained on it.
Oh Lord! Oh Lord! Oh Lord! Oh Lord! Oh Lord!
I made the best fucking mask. It's just, but it's definitely got like my initials on it.
Straining is unique. You didn't fail, so I can't say that you made something that doesn't conceal you. Um, so like, I feel like the mechanical consequence is this still has to be concealing. The consequence has to be something else. Um, so I feel like And I want to make this as narratively meaningful as possible. So one of the things that I want to ask as well is, who else is in school while you do this? What hour of the day is it, and who else is or may be in school as you do this?
I think that this is after school. So this is like the time where like clubs are meeting and there's some teacher meetings going on afterwards. But like I feel like, just to give this a little bit more context, I feel like Ava one never asked to be like a club leader. So like she's like, "Oh, I'll oversee the creator space. It's okay. I got this today." So she could use a 3D printer.
Okay. Um, Another valuable set of questions to ask, because I feel like we've established this before. Does Andrea go to school here?
And I feel like Andrea would hate that. So yeah, probably.
And secondly, then, would she be depending on you for transport back home, or is she accustomed to just like
I
getting
th-
out on her own?
I think we both use the public transport to go
Ah, right,
around.
yes. Okay. Duly noted. This is actually very helpful. So that shapes the way that I think that this works. Because I think that the consequences, because you strained, there is some like accidental residual magic that is now in this mask. And you know that when you finish it, like it's done, and you look at it, and it's like just like a bland kind of a hard plastic mask. And you look at it, and like it seems to like change color very briefly. Like in the like afternoon light, it seems very briefly iridescent, and you know that's not any quality of the plastic. And you like briefly go, wait, did I just do something to this?
There's definitely that feeling of like, not even, I can't even just sort of hold it in while I'm using a computer. It's just,
So now that you notice this, what do you want to do about that?
I want to see exactly, like, since I did this on accident, like Ava wants to know like what exactly she might have done to the mask. Like she doesn't want to like wildly light on fire when she puts it on. Like whoosh. No,
Mm-hmm.
that's doesn't want that to happen. So I think she's like trying to examine the mask to be like, what did I do to you? What are you?
Visibly, just by like observing the mask, you can't determine any like there comes a point where you keep looking at it where that visual effect is no longer the case anymore. It just looks like a normal mask again.
So I ooh, you know who would probably like to see this?
Mm-hmm.
I think she's gonna go on Discord and she's like, she's gonna be like, okay, I was making a mask, and I think I accidentally put magic in it. Who wants to help me?
There's a hands up emoji immediately.
Okay. So I take it that that will be something that you will all confront at a later point in the a later point that evening, which means that we should settle the actual indulge vice. Um,
Okay.
so that should work mostly the exact same way that it does in Blades in the Dark. So I'm actually going to like read what Blades says
Perfect. Because
aloud.
I've never played Blades in the Dark except for Soundclash.
Right, so I'm going to find that and read the exact thing for you from the actual Blades in the Dark PDF. Hold on. Right. When you indulge your vice, you clear some stress from your character's stress track. Say how your character indulges their vice, including which purveyor of vice they use to satisfy their needs. This indulgence takes time, so it can only be done when the crew has downtime. You roll to find out how much stress relief your character receives. A vice roll is like a resistance roll in reverse. Rather than gaining stress levels, you clear stress levels. The effectiveness of your indulgence depends upon your character's worst attribute rating. It's their weakest quality, which would be in this case force, form, or flow, that is most enthralled to vice. So what is the attribute that you have the least um, of any action points in?
That is gonna be form.
Okay. How many dice do you have?
How many dots do I have?
Yeah. How many actions do you have dots in?
2.
Okay. Hmm. Right. Um. So you will roll 2d6, and we will clear stress equal to the highest die result.
Neat. Oh, that's such a big choice, guys. I got a 2 and a 2.
Ooh.
Okay.
No,
How much
I think
stress? How much stress did you have?
I had 5, so now I'm down to 3.
Okay, cool. At least you didn't overindulge because that would be a lot. Um,
Ooh, I don't
so
know what that means, but okay.
yes, overindulging in vice is a thing. Another one of the things that we will want. I will definitely want to discover how that looks like in Soundclash. But with that complete, we should move on to someone else. Does anyone else have a vice that they'd like to indulge in, or another action that they think that they would be performing at this moment?
Well, I there's a combination of things that I think Oliver, in terms of releasing their stress, and because it aligns with River and meta knowledge, there's probably a conversation between Oliver and River, and then we can decide who does their like vice indulgence role first, if that works.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
So, where does River normally kind of like what's their practice spot on campus, or like their study spot, either or?
So, okay, a practice and study spot are two different places, but the fun practice spot, which I think she would text you, is like, meet me in the alley between these two buildings.
Sure. That
No
works.
context, just
Mhm.
creepy meet me in the alley.
Oh, right,
Message.
from the
I'm ready
first
to
episode.
fight.
The alley from the first episode. I remember
Mhm.
this.
Yeah.
So Oliver rounds the corner off the kind of like side high road to this kind of what feels to me like American red brick style alleyway, just in my head. I don't know whether that's necessarily.
One side is the other side's like a super modern building. You know those modern buildings that are like
Mhm.
all wavy and like interesting architecture,
Sure, I get
so that
I get
when
what
you
you're
look
going
up,
for.
it
The
like
metal
kind of
cladding.
it's starts kind of thin and then curves toward the alley a little bit. And then there's
Goodness,
one
and a
side that's
bit of
kind of
shade.
brick that also gets a little wavy at the top. And you see a whole
Gotcha.
bunch of cats.
Yeah, Oliver rounds the corner with a kind of like to go style bag, and their standard kind of like slung over their shoulder messenger bag that they keep all their tech in. And is like, oh, good afternoon, River. I brought you dono. That's a lot of cats.
Oh, it's been a while and they've been waiting.
Ah, right. So you practice to an audience, I suppose.
One of the more friendly audiences for sure.
Sure. Now I understand. And he hands you a bag of donuts.
Why, thank you. Um, well, some of this fish sandwich was for the cats, but there's a few extras if you want one.
No, no, I have my own. It is also partially fish, so I might eat it elsewhere. I'm not necessarily one to share. But I guess I was wanting to go and have a chat with you. Uh, are you one for songwriting?
She just like reaches into her backpack and pulls out a notebook. It's like, I'm familiar with the practice.
Oh, sure, 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 sure. Are you working on anything at the moment?
There's a few pieces here. One, yeah, based on maybe right after our first clash,
Oh yeah,
where
yeah.
we stuck me and Nachman, I'm sure you remember, stuck our hands in a hole and got some sparkly arms.
I don't know whether to be relieved or jealous that that didn't happen to me.
Well, it seems to be mostly back to normal. I'm glad. I was afraid it might have been permanent.
Well, he looks away. Well, I don't know whether it being permanent would be such a bad thing, but I understand it would be a change to your
Yeah.
daily routine. Anyway, I'm interrupting you.
So she picks up her fiddle and does like a little intro ditty, and this is to the tune of "I'm Looking Forward" from Steven Universe.
Oh hell yeah!
Less than a week ago, I was alone, filling bars of empty sheets with tones and semitones. Now wading through the noise and screams, it's harmonious hand in hand to venture as a team. Now we're astral starlight, we're astral starlight, we're astral arm in arm. We're astral starlight, we're astral starlight, we're astral arm in arm. That's all I really have for now. I mean, it's been a little bit crazy.
Yes, I suppose finding additional time to write is difficult, but then I guess I have a spot that I prefer when I'm working on stuff.
Have
But
you
it's
been writing anything?
Oh, yes.
She gives you like a, well?
No.
No, okay.
No. I couldn't. I couldn't.
Do we need to be in your space?
I guess it's not necessarily that. It's more Nathan Blades, the person, has not physically written anything, and is not going to go and follow up that with trying to make up shit on the spot. So if there is any of that, will either be off camera or another time. But yeah, he's kind of, I mean, I work on stuff, and he kind of pulls out of his messenger bag his current poetry writing notebook, which was Tales of the Zodiac Volume 5. Surprisingly well calligraphied onto the front of it by you, obviously by hand. There is no way that there would have been like him getting that custom printed or anything like that. But yeah, I mean, I work on stuff, but you know, none of
Can
it
I
is
see?
really built for ensemble, shall we say? But I guess
I know
want
the
to switch
feeling.
tack.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. Were you also considering being a solo act? Or...
I don't know what I wanted to be. I just knew I wanted to play music. How that would have ended up happening after university was a mystery to me. I mean, even after undergrad, it wasn't clear. That's why I'm in graduate still.
Oh, you were going to wait until after you graduated?
I was gonna wait until I knew what was gonna happen. I mean, this whole band kind of just fell into our laps, didn't it?
And I couldn't feel luckier, honestly.
I feel the same way.
Oh, I'm glad. Yeah, I was going to be, well, I was working on the basis of a solo career, putting together an EP, a kind of like hip-hop shoegaze thing, Ophiuchus. And then you
shoegaze.
remember the embroidered jacket he wore onto stage, I guess yesterday within narrative. But working in the band, I think, is really good too. A different side of things, broadening my horizons. But yes, I came to the awkward pause in character. I came to visit because I was actually going to go to my spot to work on some new songwriting, since we're now where if we were going to be writing, we'd be writing for a team. I don't think we're going to necessarily debut when we do our first round with new material. I think that might be a little hard to find. We don't really know what our opponents are doing. You know what I mean? But
We probably want something as fleshed out as possible. And yeah, songwriting takes time. Like you said, most of what I've written are solo pieces too.
yeah. So I figure if we do a cover, and then if we, when no, not if, when we get through to round two, we can debut the original material.
Of course.
But yeah, I wanted to go and tell you where the spot is, and he gives you the physical address written down. He does not text it to you.
Piece of paper.
Mm-hmm.
Neat. Did you want to you want to go there together now?
Oh, well, I don't know how your groove works. Whether if you are in the process of alchemizing something now, then I don't want to interrupt your flow. You know what I mean? But I think my creative workspace is quite interesting.
Well, I'm about finished up here, right, cats? And they all give you a look. You know, like that anime look where the eyes go shing as if they want to start a fight if you cross them? You get that
Yeah,
like 20
Oliver
times.
kind of takes it. Well, you have very loyal fans. But yeah, yes. I mean, narratively, like logistically, Oliver would obviously want to be at the observatory in evening, because trying to do this not during starlight makes zero sense to his brain. But I don't know what in terms of like scheduling of the day and stuff this would be. Maybe it's a thing where we cut to Emma and then we go and do our indulgence roll afterwards. Is that cool? Or
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Mhm.
So,
So yeah, it was like, the we can only really or at least I best work in the evening rather than the middle of the day. So if I see you around 8 p.m. at the spot.
Sure. Should we invite the rest of the team?
If it's all right with you, I don't know whether this is well, I know this is something that Ava is definitely not going to approve of. So maybe we'll warm up to that, if that's fine.
One at a time is fine. I mean, this is my space. I don't know how it'd feel with 4 people in it.
Maybe a little cramped. I wouldn't want to accidentally step on a tail.
Oh, that would be maybe the last thing you'd ever do.
Is what I'm saying. And that laugh is actually a bit more genuine. But yes, I'll see you this evening.
All right, I'll see you then.
okay.
And he turns and carefully weaves around cats to.
Several of them are like literally clawing at your ankles as we speak. Like one wrong step and like you wouldn't leave. You
Yeah. Also, these kicks are expensive, and he don't want them scratched up by cat claws. So, mutual respect all around.
Yes, duly noted. So I guess we will return to you both at some point after we check on what Nachmat is doing.
So, I need to clear some stress. Yes,
Yes, you do.
I need to do that by indulging in a thing.
I take it you have a thing in mind.
I do, in fact, have the perfect thing for Nagmat. We've established that, they have a habit of getting into the university when they shouldn't be there. But like, there's the daily getting onto campus and like using some public resources and the like. And then there's the doing it for the thrill of going into a place that requires a little bit more finesse.
Okay. So, where in particular, what part of the building are you trying to get to at this moment? Is there something that you're looking for, or you're just kind of exploring?
I think um I think there is a particular lab that belongs to one of the professors that studies stuff adjacent to noise or magic, because I don't think they allow them to study noise directly, probably.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but probably has like adjacent research that Mehmet breaks into every now and then to see what the most recent findings they've got is.
Aha, okay. So you're like specifically looking for any new discoveries or like
Yeah.
conversations about the noise that you may not already like be privy to that kind of research.
Yes.
Okay. What time of the day is it? This should be, if everything else has roughly been taking place around like 3 4 around the time that high school hours end. Um that would equally put you around somewhere around 3 to 5. The sun is not down yet. It's still like early enough in the
Yeah.
afternoon.
I mean, so Nehmet's way of breaking into a place, she's not particularly good at the like stealth or pickpocketing or lockpicking aspect, but she's very good at talking to people and making them think he belongs, or oh no, I left my ID, can you swipe me in type stuff. So she wants to go at this time because this is perfect, right? It's not peak hours, but there's still enough people around that it's not suspicious. No one looks too closely, and there's enough people that can like swipe her card, and then she can be like, shit, I walked out of the lab without my card. Can you swipe me so I can go grab it real quick?
Okay, nice. If I am not mistaken, you have an ability that would be useful for this. I can't remember if it's one of your special abilities or your hum in particular.
Sweet Talk attempts to direct, mingle, or sway someone with power or authority, gain increased effect.
Mm-hmm. Um. Okay. So this is going to be interesting. Um.
I don't know if it matters for an indulgence roll necessarily, because I don't think they have positioning effect usually, unless they do. Well,
So we will resolve the actual indulgence after we get to the point where you get to do the thing.
fair.
Right.
Okay,
So we will let's engage in shenanigans first.
gotcha. Let's do
um.
some shenanigans. I love the shenanig.
So we've established that your skill is social engineering in particular, and we've established that for this ability to work, you're going to use sway in particular, which is particularly neat. Um, so your position is risky, but as a result of added effect, your effect is yeah, your effect is extreme. It was
Let's
already you're already at the hour of the day where this kind of um like this kind of social engineering would have already worked on like the average guard or receptionist that you meet at any building in school, because they really just it really doesn't matter to them at this hour. School is almost out. The majority of students are already on their way home. So this is going to be a breeze for you in terms of effect. So
cool,
risky extreme.
cool. And sway, I'm guessing.
Yes.
Perfect.
So how many dots do you have in sway?
Duh, 2 dots.
Cool. So you will roll a d12 or a d20
I think for
plus
this one we'll
4.
stick to a D12 for now. I know. It's not. It. I know. I see your looks. I know. Oops. Wrong. What's is it? Is it slash roll on Roll20?
Yes, it is slash roll. Um,
Perfect. Ugh. Beautiful 12 on the dice, a 16. A
nice.
16 with exceptional effect.
Okay. So right. So you walk into this building. There is um one guard sitting on like one of
Yeah.
the like guest benches that are at the lobby of the building. It looks like he's playing a game on his phone.
Perfect. I I'm just gonna
And there is also a receptionist at the front desk who is like, it seems like they're actively like distracted, but when you walk in, you immediately get their attention.
okay. Okay.
Right.
Um,
So
I'm
the
gonna
person who has your attention first is that receptionist.
I'm gonna walk up to the receptionist. Ugh, I feel like a fool. And then Nagmat tilts her head. Do you have a name for them, or should I just name the receptionist something?
Um, there is right. I know what this is. Um, you know the receptionist's name,
Yeah.
not because like not because they have a name badge or anything like that, but because they carry a bookmark that you presume that they had gotten as a gift from like a friend or a family member, because they're always reading, so they always have this bookmark, and the bookmark has their name on it, and their name is Shelley.
Shelly. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh my god. I feel like such a fool. Shelly. Oh, Shelly. Hey, it's me. I'm Noor from the professor's lab. Um, I was going to the bathroom and I left my ID inside the lab and I needed to like clock out after working. Do you mind swiping me in?
And like she seems kind of they seem kind of dazed at that moment, like they're looking at you like uh no one is typically here at this hour, but like after like when they give you their full attention, they suddenly just kind of, it seems to you like they're kind of zoning out, like they're not really
Yeah.
focused on you because they're actually concerned about you losing the thing. They're just like um half concerned, half let me just get this out of the way so you can go back to doing whatever you're doing. And then they go, "Oh yeah, that's not a problem." And then they like there's a button at their desk that allows them to open the glass double doors ahead of the lobby that let you into all of the labs. Um, and they just say, "You could be fine to get into any lab in the from this point, and just let me know so I can block everything back up from here."
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Oh,
No problem.
and Nagmet leans in conspiratorially. By the way, uh, I may or may not have from a certain source that tilts head towards security guard. You should go talk to them. Is all I'm saying.
Like their eyes kind of widen for a moment, and they just like they sneak a glance at the security guard, who's still like actively distracted, fully consumed with whatever is going on in the phone in front of him, and then they turn back to you like, "Really?"
Just a hunch. Ta-da! And I waltz in.
And they're like as you're walking in, like they're like fixing their clothes and stuff like that, looking at themselves in the reflection of the computer in front of them. And by the time you go through the door, like you cannot see them again. The tint of that those glass doors totally prevent you from seeing the rest of the lobby, and you can go about your business now. Now I need to figure out what's going on with. I'm actually going to make it my business to figure out what's going on with Shelly's love life now.
Uh, good, good. And that's how Nakamet does their thing.
Nice. So you have access to literally every lab in the building. I'm sure there is a particular lab that you're aiming for in particular. I'm gonna say like there is like most of the labs in this room. If you're not a student performing any particular research, you're not supposed to be here in general. But there are also like some researcher specific labs on the third floor that like if you don't have a grant or you're not like on tenure track in this field, you're not even supposed to have access to the floor. So you know that there is some juicy stuff up there. and you've just been buzzed the whole way in, so you can just do
Yep.
whatever you want.
Yep. Perfect. I gotta go all the way, right? Like,
Yeah,
I
definitely.
cannot.
So you are now up on the third floor. There are two like very large labs. Um, one is um like surveys and stuff typically take place in that room. That's also the room that a lot of researchers use to like have like their um semester discussions about, well, how are we going to get more grant funds, um do we need to like have a conference at some point to discuss some of the findings that we've presently discussed. But that is otherwise where people gather for non um physical research. Like no one is actively attempting to trigger a noise anomaly in this room.
Of course.
The room right opposite it is where people are attempting to actively trigger noise anomalies. That is where they have all of their high tech machinery. That is where to enter that room you literally need to wear protective gear. Um, that room is typically like very securely locked. So that room you will need to finesse your way into, because that room requires actual additional physical access to enter. But
Okay.
all of the um, printed research and all of the computer access is in the next room, which would require less finessing, but will still require a level of finesse because that room is presently closed. That door is
Okay.
presently closed.
It's not one of the doors I got unlimited access to.
I mean, beyond the entrance to this lab, the researchers themselves have control over these doors. So if you wanted to open one of these doors, you'd either need one of their keys or you need to pick the lock, and no one else is here.
Okay. Okay.
So I imagine you would like to do a thing. What would you
Yeah,
like
I've
to do?
that's an excellent question.
The thing that
Okay.
immediately comes to mind is obviously finesse.
Yeah. So I have no doubts in that. So that's not how I think Nagana would approach this situation. I think how are they locked?
Um, right. The room with all of the the room that would require that would have all the papers in it, um, has two deadbolts. The other room has three.
Gotcha. And is it like a key or a key card that opens them?
Keys. You get the impression that there was a key card or biometric scanner for the active research lab that
Mm-hmm.
was removed very recently.
Oh,
So, for whatever reason, they did not trust those methods anymore. You can only imagine why.
darn. Okay.
I mean, it's much better for you. If it was a biometric scanner, then you wasn't getting in at all. But,
Well, okay.
mhm.
Uh, is there anyone around?
um, no one is in either of those rooms. Further down the hall, there is just a like small cafeteria area, which is also empty, which you can also tell is empty from where you're standing in the hall. No one is in. No one is on this floor.
Okay. Okay. Well then. Um, and the deadbolts are on the. Okay.
So here are all of the things. You know what? I'm literally going to give you all of the options that are possibly available. You
Yeah.
can pick the lock, which is finesse,
Yes.
or you can do any number of things that would require you literally kicking down this door, if that's a thing that you want.
Kicking down. Yeah.
So if you wanted to essentially get in a fight with the door, that would require a roll like. Hold on, let me pull up this. Let me pull up these sheets again. Um, Right. So if you wanted to scuffle the door, you can do that.
Scuffle? Okay.
Do you have any dots in
No.
scuffle? Do you have any dots in finesse?
No. What I
So
do have
anything
dots.
would be a risk essentially.
Yes. What I do have dots in that I'm trying to figure out what I want to do with is tinker.
Aha, yes, Tinker definitely works. Tinker would be less the act of attempting to pick the lock and more the act of attempting to unscrew the deadbolt.
Yes.
So you can definitely do something like that.
Yeah.
So how many
I
dots
think
do you have in Tinker?
2 dots, and I think I will try to do something with the deadbolt, taking it apart.
Okay. So your position is desperate. Please mark accordingly. Um,
Desperate. Okay. Perfect.
and your effect is standard because it's just a deadbolt. It's not like it's going to be impossible for you to deal with.
Yes.
So you can roll a d12 or a d20.
Do a d12.
Okay, so d12 plus 4.
That is a 12 on the dice, or total. So for 8 on the dice,
Okay.
12 total. So,
So 12
I believe it's a full
is.
success.
It should be. Hold on, let me just make sure. Right, yes, a 12 is a success. Yeah, so it takes you a while. And like you're doing it with tools that you definitely shouldn't use. Like you're using like your ID card, like your national ID card or your credit card to literally take these screws out of this deadbolt. And it takes you like a few minutes, but get these deadbolts just kind of fall out into your hands, and now you just have you just have a door with 2 holes in it, and you can enter as you please.
Perfect.
So there are just like piles of papers. They're organized by the academics that worked on them, but you can still tell like you can tell just by looking at the desk that some researchers are far more diligent and neat than others because some are very like neatly organized in folders and out folders. Everything is in like very neat organized files, and then some others are just stacks of printed sheets of paper. Um, but all of these documents are now available for you to peruse at your leisure. Um, I will say that a basic study role should give you the ability to determine what is useful in this room, but it will arguably take a while for you to go through a certain number of documents before. Um, uh, so, like, study is essentially determining how long it takes for you to discover something that is interesting or valuable.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Let's go do that.
So your position is controlled.
Okay.
Um, in fact, no. Your position is risky.
Okay.
Um, for reasons that you will discover further in your study role, and your effect is standard.
Okay.
How many dots do you have in study?
1 dot. I will roll a d20 plus 2.
Okay.
Okay. That's a 19.
A 19 is straining.
Yes.
Okay. One of the first things you notice when you finally entered the room is that the room has cameras in it. You have no idea what other security measures might be present in the room, but at least you see the cameras, and it gives you the impression that there are other security measures in this room, but you can't immediately identify those things.
Right.
Um, you decide at that point, the camera has already seen me, so I might
Yes.
as well continue doing the thing.
Yes.
So you're flipping through papers. Let's say that you start with one of the files that is actually the neatest at this point, because at least you'll be able to determine what's going on in those sheets of paper.
Exactly.
Um, you, I know what I'm doing here. Um, you find a draft of a research paper. Right now, the only thing that is in the paper is like the abstract and some base notes about the actual physical research that this researcher has done.
Mm-hmm.
And it has determined that it is possible, it is highly likely, and requires greater research, that noise anomalies are just um, rougher versions of what they had initially surmised in an earlier paper is um, a purer, more essential sense of musical portal. The um, other end of which may potentially be another dimension, and that they argue that um, the frequency as it first occurred 30 odd years, 20 odd years ago, um, was a very accidental opening of that pure portal to the dimension from which that song was being played. That it was just like someone was actually just playing a song in another dimension. Whether they were doing it directing it to us, or it was just like something just happened in that world. We
Mm-hmm.
do not know because we will never be able to recreate that portal again. But every noise anomaly is an accidental magical attempt to open that portal, and many of those anomalies, as a result, lead to even other dimensions that have not been observed. Many of which may not be actively hostile, but many of which are indeed actively hostile. And
Mm-hmm.
the anomalies themselves, by their rough and inaccurate nature, are more risky to to physically pass through. So they're arguing that it is possible that if you make a purer portal, humans will be able to pass through that portal to that other dimension, and that other research is necessary to actually prove that.
Interesting. Okay.
So that's one thing that you find. The other thing that you find from another researcher is some like handwritten notes that they put on like other printed pieces of paper. Like on the other side of all of these sheets of paper are uh random prints of things that have nothing to do with schoolwork. Like someone at some point photocopied a takeout menu, and like on a like at some point somebody had, I guess, printed out some black and white copies of very romantically explicit emails that were sent between two staff members. But somebody just took all of these sheets of paper and was writing on the other side of these, because they don't care about what's going on the other side of these pieces of paper. And all of these handwritten notes are um, one of the other researchers surmise, like, essentially guessing to themselves that it is highly possible that what they call um, physical noise fragments, but they also call it like other things in their notes, like glass, um, or specks of glass, um, have magical properties that can be expanded,
Mm-hmm.
but no one will let them research them because they're afraid that um, taking noise artifacts from noise anomalies that they didn't create in the lab might create like might contaminate their research somewhat because
Yeah.
whoever essentially runs this lab wants everything that they observe to take place in house.
Mm-hmm.
So they've been taking notes about research that they've been doing personally, and one of the things that they've noted personally is that they believe that a certain increased number of glass has a potential to make its own noise anomaly. That if you just collect a number of glass in a certain place, it will open an anomaly. And that um, they're also considering the possibility that if that number of glass comes from the same previous anomaly, it will go to the same place. But they want to know as a result what will be the consequence if you mix some, and they've been attempting to collect them as a result. On these sheets of paper, you have no identifying information about who this academic is.
Cool.
Right, so you know both of those things. You also know that you are presently on camera.
Yeah. Well, time to do the indulgence.
Yes, definitely.
So
So
here's what it looks like. Once I'm done like looking at the actual good papers, I'm going to start browsing through for the failed studies and bad science and just to laugh at the bad academia.
oh Lord. Okay. Of
I don't want
course.
actually any like papers or anything like that. That's just what it looks like for Dagmat.
Okay, so what is the attribute that you have the lowest actions in?
That would be 0 in force.
Okay. So typically you'd roll a number of dice equal to however many skills you added that attribute, and we would take the highest result.
Mhm.
But now you will have to roll 2d6 and
2d6
we'll
and
have
take
to
the
take
lowest.
the lowest.
Yes. Okay, that's a 5 still.
Okay,
Oh, 5 and 6.
how much stress did you have?
Exactly 5. So I'm giving I a good 6 because that would have been
Wow.
over.
So you laugh at these other researchers' papers, and like the act of you being surrounded by what you consider such ineptitude is so freeing and so pure and joyful for you that you like after you've had your belly full, you just put everything back the way that you found it. I'm going to need you to give me another tinker roll now to determine whether you're going to put those deadbolts back.
All right.
Your position is desperate, mark that as noted. Um, and your effect is standard.
Okay, another 12. Just another standard success.
Okay. So you just put, like, they just kind of shift back into place essentially. Like, it doesn't require that much effort for you, but, like, it takes a few minutes, obviously. And the camera can now obviously see that you are putting these deadbolts back. But, yeah, you just put them back. You close the door, you make sure that the door is locked, and you leave.
Perfect.
Is there anything that you do while as you're headed out? In fact, I will I will note to you that um, Shelly is still like sitting at the desk, like actively trying to figure like, do I move? Do I disturb him? Um,
Yeah.
like he's just like restlessly sitting at the desk, and the guard is still like plugging away at whatever this is happening on his phone.
Yep. Yep. So I'm gonna look at as I walk out go, oh Shelly, thank you so much. You can lock up again.
They just kind of turn to you very awkwardly and go, "Oh yeah," and like they just click everything closed again. And then
Uh
they like while they still have your attention, like they just kind of point at the guard and then mouth to you, "For real?" And then
uh
they just go back to being panicked again.
Nakhmat Nakhmat's just gonna lean in. Look, That's just what I heard. Hang around here enough and you hear things sometimes. And then gonna lean in even closer. And Nagma will one of the will say, if you're not gonna make a move with them, and slide over one of the post-it notes from the lab, but with their own number on it.
Like they are looking at you very, like, like wide-eyed, it's full of shock. Just kind of clear the throat and go, I don't think it would be right for me to be with a student, but I'm flattered. And like they literally still take the number, like they still put the
Oh,
number away. But like,
I thought this was a student receptionist. I misunderstood this.
oh no. Like they're not terribly older than you, but
Yeah,
like being staff
cool.
that would still be very weird. But
Yeah.
for whatever reason, in that still state of shock, they still like physically take the number from you, still very surprised.
Yes. Cool. I mean, I'm not a student, so it's fine. I will still give them the number. They don't know that.
Duly noted, yes. So yeah, that happens. There's like this brief moment where the god kind of like looks up, but like both of you are still like out of his earshot, so he doesn't actually like say anything. It just goes back to his game. And yeah, that's that. Does anyone else have a second thing that they want to do?
Well, I think in the to-do list is Ava passing on mask research to Nakmat, but also River and Oliver going and doing their indulgences in tinkering with songwriting underneath the stars. I don't know which chronologically which happens first, but
Um. Hmm. I think we should move towards Oliver and River.
sure, let's
Yeah.
go.
Okay.
Mhm.
So I take it then that you meet back in the alley.
At the at Oliver's observatory.
Oh, right. Yes.
We having given the address.
So do I have to
River.
sneak in to get inside?
I think he meets you outside because he already knows the safest way of getting into the building, which, or at least normally. The other day there were people in the building, but that's actually not the first time that's happened. But it is probably it's definitely the most recent time that's happened. He's not going to share that with you, though. That would dissuade potentially, so he's not going to reveal that particular detail. But upon kind of greeting you at the building of this observatory at the top of the hex behind him, he's like, "Good evening, and welcome to my workspace."
Good evening. This place looks closed.
Yes, it's been closed for quite a while. It was, well, when I was a kid, it was one of the best ways to see the stars in the hex. But after the researchers could no longer keep up with the rent of keeping it, the costs of operations, the place closed. But I wanted to still keep going. It kept inspiring me. So on starry nights like this is when I do my songwriting and my theremin experiments.
Experiments.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Well, compared to a lot of other synth technology, the theremin, well, I always keep exploring and finding new sounds with it, turning the dials here, setting things there, putting the output through additional kind of like filters and synths to change the sound that way. It's a lot of, well, it's an art and a science at the same time. Yeah, you get what I mean.
It's a very alternate form of music from anything I've ever been used to. Any traditional instruments that I'm sure you've seen me dabble with, they're pretty much figured out. You know what I
Mm.
mean? It's like maybe we don't understand how a Stradivarius sounds the way it does, but there isn't much tinkering that has to go on.
The rules in operating a violin stay the same. I get what you mean. But I think that's what fascinates me with this particular instrument. Because I don't know, the fact that there's an infinite space to explore. And he looks up at the roof of the observatory, and there's a pause. Okay, um, it's a bit of a route to get up there, but I've got the general safest way. You've done urban exploration before?
I've done exploration. I wouldn't say I've ever trespassed before.
Well, the more that you dwell on that, the less fun you're going to have. He hands you a pair of safety gloves.
Uh, this is okay.
Mm-hmm.
This is the only way we get to the workspace, I guess.
Mm-hmm. I have a feeling there is probably going to be the fun stuff in terms of leaving, but there is like a cut in time as we get to the roof of the observatory, and you now get to see all of the hex from this angle, which you've probably never seen before.
I think I'm going to sprout a couple more gray hairs this evening, but let's go.
Isn't this view breathtaking though?
Oh, it'll be breathtaking once maybe I can not dwell on any illegal activities that I'm sure that it's fine. It's fine. I don't
Consternation passes across his face.
Hmm?
Look, it's there is a limit to one's creativity without pushing oneself into the unknown. And I get that this is unusual for you, but maybe this will broaden your horizons, maybe. Show you something else. There are many ways to get that creative spark, and this is mine.
River is conflicted as someone who has followed the rules her entire life, and yet with this group of people, she's been infiltrating crime scenes and now maybe trespassing. But this idea that Oliver just gave her of if you want to like really explore your own music, you're going to have to try and push some boundaries. That gives her a pause as to something she knows she needs in her music. Is this what could have been missing this whole time? Is this why people didn't want to work with her in class?
Look,
He is intrigued.
we'll set things up this way, and because he prepared to meet you up here, sets up a kind of like input mic at the height that you'd be playing your fiddle at, and then sends that into a synth filter. Play a few notes, and it'll come in through here, and then he does a complicated explanation of what this particular experimental synth is supposed to do. But long story short, it takes in what you do and will put a bunch of very odd algorithms in it and put something unusual out the other side.
You see that that gif of that lady with all of the math going around her head? Because she does not get it. But she shrugs and goes like, I'm not a Katie's not a string player, but
I mean, okay. If this algorithm isn't working, you can do custom inputs, right? So, and fiddles around with it. So this one builds custom algorithms based on a word or phrase that you put in. The inner workings of it, even I don't really understand. I kind of got the code from an old friend on a web ring long ago. Don't dwell about that too much. But yeah, you put in the code word, it does math, and then turns the sound that you put in into something entirely unique based on the word. So why not enter something? And then it'll be truly yours at the very least.
the very least, I'm sure. Okay. So she's got her fiddle out then? You want her to play some notes into your theremin.
But what keyword are you going to use to set the algorithm is the interesting thing here. Or at least
Keyword. She just looks at you straight in the eyes and goes, Alley cat.
All right. And he sets up his theremin, takes a look out as there's a gust of wind, and we get the warm night air of the hex. and they begin to play together, which at least I'm going to make my indulgence roll. I don't know whether you want to make that yours as well, River, or not.
Not yet. I have an
Fair
idea.
enough. Cool, cool,
Okay.
cool.
Before we get to the indulgence roll, though,
Mhm.
I would like
Mhm.
River to give me a D20 roll.
I know. Here comes whoa. Here comes a 1. Do 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 do. 7.
I told you I stole them from you. He's
Good.
gone.
Okay, a
Keep
7
'em.
is a minor success. Okay, right. There is this moment as you're like, as both of those things are, as your fiddle playing and the theremin are still like acclimating to each other. There is this moment of, this doesn't sound right. This sounds very sharp and dissonant, and then something very soothing comes out. It's not perfect by any means. There are still some points where it sounds like um it could be better, but like there is this very calming quality about it. As you're playing River, it gives you like the vaguest image of like what these like something that would be playing in the background of the cats in that corner just like laying about and doing nothing, just like sitting on trash cans, um lying in like a damp corner of the alley, um like trying to bat at small insects as they like kind of flicker around some of the lights in that space. And like you can see it as you're playing, and it's this very soothing kind of experience, and like you all just enjoy the act of like playing and like hearing that for a few minutes as you play. And now you can make your indulgence roll. So, what attribute do you have the least actions in, Oliver? You are presently muted, I'm sorry.
Apologies. Yes, my worst one is Form 1.
I see. So you will roll 1d6.
Fantastic.
One.
One.
How much stress
Okay.
did you have?
I have 6 stress.
Okay, now you have 5.
Wonderful. I think this makes sense. In the process of doing this, Oliver doesn't get to fully get taken by the process of creation. Parts of his brain are holding back to kind of keep an eye on River, partially because she's nervous and being in an area that she knows that she's not supposed to be, but also it's kind of like, is she enjoying herself? Did I just bring somebody into my personal space and they're having like a bad time? I would die. And is yeah, keeping an eye on you, and then as a result doesn't actually relax that much, regardless of how good the session is.
Okay.
Okay. Did we actually go to the observatory? Because you said you took it out while we were debating going into the observatory.
Oh, I kind of suggested that we do a bit of a jump cut, so we are on the roof of the
Oh,
observatory
okay.
in the kind of like space that Oliver normally practices. In fact, at some point you might look down and notice that there's a conspicuous hole in the roof of the size of one of the crystals that bored into the ceiling an episode or two ago.
So yeah.
Okay. I missed the jump cut, so I'm like, are we still at the fence? No, but this
No,
makes
sorry.
more sense.
That's my bad for not making that fully clear. But yes, we've been playing in the kind of open air on top of the roof.
Okay. What's the roof like? Is there like a wall so that we don't fall off of it, or?
I think this area it's kind of like what would be a maintenance platform for where the telescope would have been. The telescope is since gone, because the research is there and they're packed up and left. But there still needs to be a maintenance platform on the outside for when the telescope was in operation. So this area probably has a bit of a fence and is flat, but it's probably not huge.
Okay, I just want to get dangerously close to the edge.
You
Okay.
feel the breeze in your hair and take a step back.
Just trying to to what's the word? Project the music out a little bit more dangerously than one should, because maybe someone's gonna hear us. But she's getting in a groove, and yeah, she's really having a good time. I don't know how stress worked in this game, but I don't think I ever got any. And if I
Oh, hell yeah.
did, I haven't been marking it, so I don't know how much stress I have.
So usually stress is if any of your moves or abilities cause you to take stress when doing X. I specifically have it's a harm, I think. Yes, once per performance, I may push myself, and pushing yourself generates stress. So
Okay.
if you've not pushed yourself yet, then you're probably Gucci.
I've not had any stress. Does that mean that I can further a project
You
during
can.
downtime?
You can if you want to. It is perfectly possible for you to do any action that you can take in downtime twice and have that be your downtime.
Okay. So the way I would like rules wise be spending my downtime is working with Oliver to be writing songs.
Oh ho! Ah, so I take it then that a song is one of the things that we are definitely doing at this moment. Because then I get to talk about what songwriting actually looks like.
Hell yes, perfect.
Okay.
Yes.
Let me find that section of the rules. Okay, cool. Right, so, um, as an element of Soundclash, you need to have a song to perform, and that song needs to have a sequence. So I'm going to read the section of performances that is dedicated to the song sequence, so everybody is roughly on the same page. Performances are played in a formula known simply as the song sequence. During a performance, each individual segment of the song sequence becomes a test, and the band, or the individual roles that are relevant to that segment, will roll for an action or use other abilities in order to perform their portion of the song to the best of their ability. So long as your band knows a song or has a single song in their songbook, they can perform it. And the rough outline of a basic song sequence is as follows: an intro, a verse, a pre chorus if it has any, a chorus or hook, um, other verses to follow, which will be followed by other pre choruses and choruses if they exist, um, bridges or solos, and an outro. Um, Once a song has like any of these parts in a sequence that should logically follow, that song exists. All I would need to know is what that sequence is and which roles will perform in that sequence, which doesn't necessarily need to be everybody. For instance, a solo is, as the name would suggest, performed by one person. Um, uh, any individual verse can have just um, a melody or harmony singing while one instrument is playing. Um, the intro can just be one musical element as well, but you'll get the ability to essentially um, qualify that as you see fit. You also get to qualify the song's tags. That's like words describing its general vibe. Is it a headbanger? Is it more navel gazy? Does it make people feel angry? Does it make people feel chipper? Those things you can qualify two or three of those things attached to the song as well. Those things once you write a song as a project, those things will not be set in stone. until the project is done. So you get to like debate what those things are until the thing is finished. But once the thing is finished, those are essentially the rules of the song and will determine how it is performed whenever you perform it. So, do you have any of those elements in mind? You can literally at this beginning point in that process just discuss like a hook or what you want the song to feel like. I don't even need to know words. I just need to know what the vibe you're trying to capture is.
What has been kicking around in my head is an intro that starts quite um, open, ambient, and experimental, and then kicks into something bigger and funkier as we kind of hit main. But I think Oliver is kind of focusing on kind of getting that ambient sound in a way that we can latch onto that and turn that into something big once big hooks kick in.
Okay. Especially given the space that you're in, I feel like that's also narratively useful as well. Like we could just kind of follow out from this scene by simply like having you all kind of settle on the sounds that you're experiencing at this moment. Um and just have the acknowledgement that that is part of the process of you all attempting to write a song without like going into great detail about are you actually attempting to perform a thing at this moment, and that could be um, something that we develop as as we get further into the project that is this song.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so cool.
Just thematically. So we're jamming, and like I said, I think River's getting closer and closer to the edge. Not in like and she's really feeling the wind and the sky kind of ambiance that Oliver was trying to show her. So she does pause for a moment, um, closes her eyes near the edge, feels the wind in her hair, feels the openness of being on the roof of a building, and then begins to play again in an intro to a song manner that working together makes a kind of um, aesthetic that if you listen to it would make you think of the stars and the sky. And when she finally stops, she turns around to Oliver and goes, "Do you have any sheet music?"
Yeah, Oliver kind of like pulls out the journal and actually flips through it, and you can see that the way that he's hand lined the pages, that it alternates between one page of lined for writing and then one page of staves for music, and flips to a blank set of pages.
We have to write this down.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I would cut away.
Yeah. We
So
start
like
working on that.
there is this slow pan out and slowly like fading into the color of the night sky of just the both of you on this observatory roof scribbling away at like blank music staves, like just making idle notes. Some of you are like writing in margins how this is supposed to feel, like what you're thinking about at that moment in time. And then we fade slowly out. And I will say, because of the hour, that that's where we're going to call this evening. I know that a couple of people still have like one downtime action left that we can very quickly wrap up next session before we get into uh, the more interesting parts of what's going to happen later, because very, very soon you'll have to perform. And that's going to be interesting. You'll will need a song by that point, so hopefully we will have some complete thoughts about the present, what I have in my notes as unnamed observatory song at the moment. But until then, I think we should close with Final introductions, everyone. Please tell the audience who you are, what you do, and where people can find more of your work. Starting with Vale.
Hey guys, again, I'm Vale. You can find me at Villa Vicencio on Twitter. You can also hear my voice more if you want to listen. If you want to listen to some actual play, I am part of an actual play for Interstitial that is ongoing right now. Kingdom Hearts: A Forgotten Era. You can also see me on Off the Table playing a Pasión de las Pasiones game, which is going really great. As the opposite of the character that I'm playing now. A like really sleazy producer for a telenovela who has many secrets.
This
um,
sounds like my jam.
I
Wait, are you
really
producing a
recommend it.
telenovela inside the telenovela?
Yes.
Beautiful.
My God.
10 out of 10. I
It's
just need to
also
go.
an all Latina cast, so it's also really great.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Nice.
You
That's
can also
off
find
the table, you said?
yes, it's on Off the Table, alternating Wednesdays.
Cool. Well, you got at
Uh,
least one new listener.
yeah.
Does it get posted to YouTube?
uh, No, I don't think some are posted to YouTube, but the VODs are available on Twitch.
Cool.
So, we are only one episode in. It's going to be a short season. It's only going to be 4 episodes. But this coming Wednesday will be our second episode. First episode was award shenanigans, in which I was terrible. It was great. I never get to be bad.
Playing a villain is always fun.
Yeah, there is a lot of fun in being villainous. Next, Nathan.
Hello, hello, hello. I am four strands in space coalescing into a single star, Nathan Blades. Thank you so much for having me on this channel. You can find me at the Neon Caster Twitch channel, where we play video games and discuss them as media texts. And also play tabletop RPGs. Our next session is coming up on April 3rd, the Saturday. We will be doing a one-shot of Net Battlers, which is a tabletop RPG designed to evoke the Mega Man Battle Network series. We're going to be doing a late 90s, early noughties themed vaporwave mystery called Galaxy Galleria, three preteens adventure through a mall after a dark investigating ghost stories. It's going to be really, really good. We have some fantastic players for it. Please do check us out next week.
Nice. Next, Katie.
Hello, hi. I've been Katie Chin playing River Song for you this fine evening. Actor, writer, comedian extraordinaire. I play Grace Chen in the award-winning Valen's podcast, an urban fantasy audio drama. We are in our second season. So follow along if you want to listen to some good audio drama content. Yeah, that's about all I've been doing now, but yeah.
Very nice, and congratulations to Valence. Very well deserved. And last but not least, Amber.
Hi, I'm Amr Amaraz. I am found everywhere on the internet at Amaraz. Currently, I am airing season 2 of Chimera Cape and Blade over on Utopia, which is a very fun superhero story with fantasy genre elements as we blend the two together. We air on the Fridays right before Soundclash. So if you know it's Soundclash week, you know it's Chimera week, and vice versa. Uh, that's my main plug right now. I got some things moving in the background, but yeah, that's it. Short and sweet. Oh, actually, no, I do have a big plug. This week on Brido's Twitch channel, they are doing a week-long every night stream of Dead by Daylight with a different group to raise money and awareness for AAPI groups and support them in wake of the recent events. So there will be nightly streams that I believe start at 8 EST. I will be on the Tuesday stream. And then if I do well enough, I'll make it to the finals on Friday. Uh, yeah, so come check that out. Even if you don't catch my day, please try to catch some of the days and support this wonderful stream with a wonderful person at the helm for a wonderful cause. That's it. That's all I got.
Yes, thank you for reminding me of that. I'm going to put a link to that channel in the chat. I'm also going to put a link to a tweet that is also sharing that information, so folks can definitely check that out because that's absolutely important. Um, uh, the world is a lot right now, and the most that we can do, the least that we can do in order to make the world less of a lot, is try to be available for people who are doing neat things. And I think Brito is actually doing a lot of very neat work in this regard, and I hope that week's streams go very well. So yes, I'm going to, right. So that tweet is there. I'm going to share this as well. Um, Right, cool. Thank you very much. So yes, thank you so very much for joining me for this weekend session of the Case of the Scented Seal. Oh, wow, what's going on in my brain? Thank you so very much for joining me for this evening's session of Soundclash and Clampdown. My brain is moving very quickly. Apologies. I have been your stage manager, Brandon O'Brien. I do a lot of things on this channel, as previously noted. Um, Also, this game, Soundclash, a hack of Blades in the Dark about music, magic, and sticking it to the authorities, is a game that I am presently developing. As evidenced by the fact that several parts of it are still being stuck together by gum and duct tape, and I often have to peel off some of those sections and remind people that they're there. This will be at some point available in some way, but you can find more of my game design stuff on my itch.io page. That's therisingtides.itch.io. That's TITHES. You can find me on Twitter at The Rising Tides. You can find me on Instagram at The Rising Tides. And you can find my website where I talk about my fiction and some of my game design stuff, the BrandonO'Brien.space, which will also include a form that will allow you to sign up for my newsletter where I talk about random media things and also show off screen caps of cute animated cats from iOS phone games. So yeah, that's everything about me. I will note um, April's schedule is still presently up in the air. There may or may not be anything in the first week of April because that Sunday, the 4th, is actually my birthday. With that, as well as Flights of Foundry taking place on the 17th and the 18th, which will have several people all across both of my streams involved. We may or may not have a lot of things going on Sundays, but there will definitely still be at least one episode of Soundclash the Clampdown and the usual requisite one episode of Blades in the Dark, the Case of the Cindered Seal. We just need to be absolutely sure about those dates, and when we do know, Arv will know, and then Arv will let you all know. But until then, I am going to bid my crew adieu for a bit. So please, chat, please give everyone all of your love. Let everyone know that you enjoyed this evening's session, and I will dip very quickly out of Zoom for a little bit. Bye for now. And as I move over to this window over here, so I can greet you all more intimately. Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us for this evening's session of Soundclash the Clampdown. I'm really glad that you all stuck around. I'm really glad that we didn't have any technical difficulties this evening. That was very rewarding for me personally. And as some of you know, at some point in the future, we will have less technical difficulties still, but that's an announcement I will save for when that thing finally happens. So if you know, you know. Hehehe. But thank you so very much for joining us, everyone. I'm definitely going to shout out first and foremost Arvan Elleron and Gregory Wilson for constantly giving me space on this channel to do neat things. I'm always very grateful to be able to share um, uh, my have an opportunity to share some neat gaming experiences with everyone here, including having an opportunity to share the bones of Sound Clash with you all, and to be able to do that with an all by podcast is particularly rewarding to me as well. So thank you, Greg, for making this space for me. And thank you so much, Greg, for all of the other things that will happen later on in the month of April that we'll talk about again when those things happen. Thank you to the moderators, Dragon Spear and Triffity Mats, for um, keeping the chat as neat and tidy as possible. Thank you so very much also for helping me sort out some of the naming stuff that we had earlier this evening about the stream. Um, and definitely a shout out to everyone who came to watch the chat. Amaraz, Ben Protagonist, Carbot14XYZ, ECAG FB, Foxy Fresh, Garlic Tofu, Gigafrost, Gorgar, Heartnut, Hello Tenbear, Lurks, Macaroni KTX, Mara Romano, Nine is Healthy, Rourke 9, The Neon Caster, Toddled, VNK, and Villain Vicencio. Thank you, just me personally giving out a particular shout out to Rourke 9 and Hello Ten Bear. I know a handful of other people also um, were about that I uh, uh, shouted out on Twitter to like throw an eye on my thing so we could like raise some of the numbers here. Thank you so very much for passing through. I really hope that you enjoyed Soundclash. We're gonna do more of this. This happens on a this typically happens every fortnight. Again, April is gonna be kind of weird. Um, oh yes, Sod was here as well. Shout out to Sod for also helping with the name thing. I don't know why. I feel like that was supposed to be up in that names list, and I don't know why I didn't see it. But thank you so very much, Sod, for passing through. Thank you for helping me do the thing. Again, a shout out to all of my players for being such um, interesting and radical and very engaging players and characters, and always engaging with the story as forward as possible. I'm really glad to be able to be playing with this crew. I'm really glad to be able to play on this channel for this uh, community. Thank you so very much for giving me this opportunity to do so. And with that, again, there will be an update about April dates very soon. So you will get an update from me on Twitter or on Discord very, very soon. But until that happens, I hope that everyone has a wonderful evening. I hope everyone has a wonderful week. And I will see you all very, very soon. So have a good evening, and I will be off. But first, let's listen to this cool thing one more time.